Hello, welcome back to I Create For You. I'm sorry this is such a late night posting, but better late than never. I'm going to start a different book also. It's called Ghosts of the Black Hills. Stories of spooks and spirits here in the Black Hills who haven't left us, even after they have left us, by Tom Welch. Okay. Let's see. Okay. The author has a little disclaimer here. The reader should understand that we were able to obtain some of these stories only if we promised to observe the obscure the actual identity of persons or property. This required us to occasionally use fictitious names. In such cases, the names of the people or the places are not to be confused with actual places or actual persons, living or dead. Okay, and I'm going to read The Ghost Lights of Newcastle. Out on the western edge of the Black Hills near Newcastle, Wyoming, something mighty weird has been going on for years. Folks out there have been observing things that they don't quite understand and just can't explain away. These unearthly manifestations have come to be known as the ghost lights. C.S. Warner, now living in Sioux Falls, described to me his encounter with the ghost lights back in the late 1940s. It was after the war. He began slowly, getting an odd, faraway look in his eyes, probably about 47, 48. I just bought a new Chevy and I was heading over to show the car to Lillian. She was my girl at the time. Lillian lived with her folks on a little spread just off Morrissey Road. It was about dusk. I remember the time because I was just about to switch on my headlights. That's when I saw the flash in the distance. What was your first thought? I asked. Well, at first I thought they was the lights of another car coming at me from about a mile or so down the road. But I soon realized they weren't car lights. They came at me real fast. As they got closer to those lights, there were two of them, began bobbing and weaving, and all of a sudden they shot off across the open country at about ground level. They was just balls of light. A second later, two or three more of them streaked across the road in front of me. Well, I just stopped the car and stared. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I'd heard talk about people seeing strange lights out in that area, but I thought it was just a lot of hogwash. I saw them for myself that night, and he added with a wry grin, I was sober too. I was interested in the fact that there had been several reports of these lights. Oh yes, Mr. Warner assured me. The first sighting was around 1940, I believe. A tourist just passing through saw the lights and he reported them to the Newcastle police. One of the officers went out there and, sure enough, he saw the lights. I guess there's been numerous sightings since then. Funny thing is, those lights hardly ever appear to a group of people. It's always just a lone person or two who sees them. After my visit with Mr. Warner, I moseyed on back to Newcastle and chatted with some of the residents there. I looked up three of the locals who had also seen those lights, and their stories were strikingly similar to the one told by my friend in Sioux Falls. The lights always seemed to appear within a specific 5-mile area, and usually only to one or two spectators at a time. There have been no reports of the ghost lights recently. Some people figured that, whatever they were, the eerie iridescent balls of light aren't around Newcastle anymore. Could be, but then again, you know how some folks are. They'd just rather keep things of that nature to themselves. Well, that's an interesting story. I think that might be our first one that didn't really talk about a person per se, except for the person who would see these lights. So they're saying that they're these lights. So I'm just going to do these balls of light that I would think that they would look like. So we'll just do. Let me get you down here. Okay, I got this one. Make it a little darker. And then I'll just do another one. Since he thought there was headlights, I'm going to put them close to each other, but not right next to each other. And so he's saying that they were lights, had some kind of glow about them. I have bad eyeballs, and I know when I drive at night, there's always like this ring around headlights when I see them. But this must be, I don't know how big they are. They didn't really say how big they are, but if they were claiming that they look like they were headlights, then they must be big enough, big enough. Not just little specks. So, we got the balls of light. I've heard of something like this before, and I thought it was always like in Nevada over the desert area. I could have sworn I heard a story about that. And it was, I don't know if it was multiple lights. I don't remember if it was multiple or just one that would just appear and like it would come close to the person and then take off. Just like, and like almost like it was a drone light that would come over, look to see what it was coming upon, and then take off. You know what I mean? Like it was being, like somebody was guiding the light, and they're like, oh, wait, we got an obstruction in front of us. What is that? We're going to just tune it in and see what it is and come up real close, and then we'll just take off real quick that they won't really get to see who we are or what we are, type thing. That's what it reminded me of. But, yeah, you just don't know. I'm going to do this way. See if I can get some streaks of light there. This isn't the best one. I don't know. I shouldn't have picked this story. It's really not easy to just draw. I mean, I'm doing it really quick because I was having a bad day today, and I realized it was my Friday, and I'm like, oh crap, I didn't put a video out. So I just quickly grabbed that book, just for a change, and here I am trying to draw balls of light. What a thing to try to draw, right? So, yeah. So, they're just balls of light, and they're iridescent. And so, they say that they would go, like, be a light, and then all of a sudden, either they would shoot from one side to the other, or they would like stagger, be up here, then go down here, then weave up here, like, so it wasn't so easy to follow them. So that's why I'm thinking, I'm not really, I'm just gonna say it, I don't care. I'm not really into UFOs, even though I could have swore when I was younger that I had seen at least 2 of them. And that was before my parents took me to see Close Encounters of the Third Kind, okay? That's showing my age, because I actually got to see that in a movie theater when it came out. Yeah, I remember that, but I also know that a lot of times when they talk about paranormal things, they talk about orbs, which are supposed to be a paranormal entity type thing. But these here seem bigger and brighter and more in your face than an orb. Orbs are just like, I can't even explain it. They're just like little circles of energy that just come out and they dissipate and they appear and they dissipate, or they flow around real slow and then they dissipate. And I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say, because I'm not an expert in this stuff, but from what I remember people saying about orbs, they're an energy of a being, I guess, or paranormal activity. These, I'm not sure they could be classified as paranormal, but more as something unidentifiable, if that makes sense. Sort of like a UFO. That's why my opinion of these is it's something that is like a drone, where you can take it, make it fly around, let it see what's going on around. And that's just my take on it. That's my interpretation of it. I don't know. Just because the fact that they don't have that happening there anymore, or at least no one has reported it, makes me think at the time that this was happening, if those of you who do believe in UFOs would probably agree that maybe they send down these lights to get a better look at the areas, and it just so happens that when they do show themselves in a remote area, there aren't so many people in gatherings to see them. They make sure that it's an area where not heavily populated or not heavily trafficked or whatever, to get their readings or their info on what they're seeing. So that's just my take on it. I don't know if any of it makes sense, but yeah, I thought this was odd that, now that I'm thinking about it, that this is even in a ghost storybook. But if it's not something you can explain, but they don't say that there's anything in the area that would make orbs or paranormal activity happening. No Indian burial grounds, nothing, massacres. They're not saying anything of that sort. So that's why I'm thinking it has to do with something other than paranormal. But that's my take on it. And this is the best I could do without knowing exactly how big they were, what they consisted of, if they were actually solid in some respect. But then again, like, it's like you having a headlamp on, where you see that one big bright light. Does it have that on it, so that when it does its search of the area to get information, does it turn on that light? And that's what you're seeing. That beam of light actually stops you from seeing the actual object. Okay, I'm done yapping for tonight. I hope you guys had a good holiday yesterday, and I will see you guys in the next video. But before you go, please hit that like button. Please subscribe if you haven't. And comment. Let me know what you think of these, if you've heard of these, if you know if what I'm saying makes sense, or if I'm just like way out there in left field somewhere. But everybody has their opinions. They're like, what do they say? They're like buttholes. Everybody has one. But yeah, I'd really like to hear your take on this. Thanks so much for stopping by. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.